Hey, you folks and hobbyists, this code might just look familiar to some of you. This is the code for a game that I wrote a long time ago, all the way back in 2018, six years ago. It is PhaserJS. Well, the game is actually called Jumper, but it was for a video that I made for the YouTube channel called PhaserJS Game Tutorial, how to make a game in it. Now, PhaserJS is a desktop and mobile HTML5 game framework, and it is on version, 3.80? So this repo that the code lives in uses PhaserJS 2.0. So actually that's not true. It's 2 point something, but it's not 3 point something, which is the current version. So this is a pretty old project and this is a pretty old video. So what am I doing here? Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just making content for you. I did a bunch of work to this in a 2024 patch yesterday, and I thought that it would be fun to make a video going through it because I did that Ruby code review and you guys liked it and I liked it, so let's do it. Now, I called this a 2024 patch with no description because I'm the only person that works on this, but I called it a patch thinking that I would just be updating the README or something, but I actually found a number of issues with it, and both just bugs and things that I wouldn't do today. So I'm going to go back and fix more than just a patch. So what did I do? I did a whole bunch with this. I put in Github Actions CI, got rid of Travis. It used Travis. I think Travis is dead. Well, they claim to still be around, but last time I used Travis was quite some time ago, and they had just gotten acquired, and I mean, their copyright is recent. I don't know. Does anybody use Travis anymore? I was big into it way back in the day. So Travis is gone. Let's close these and then I'll come back to them. We got a Docker file. There's no reason to put this in Docker, but hey, why not? Updated the license all the way 2019 is when I added that. Made a whole bunch of README updates and I'll show you those. Docker compose, I'll tell you why I did that. And then the main JS file, there's a couple things I needed to change to make the application menu go away. Which is odd because I had this set menu to null, but apparently you're supposed to do it before you actually create the browser window, but I'll talk about that in a second. Had a bunch of problems with the package lock. NPM is a pain in the butt, and then the actual package JSON. I bumped the version. It doesn't matter because this isn't really a node module. And I had to make these changes to how the game files are linked. Now, I wouldn't do anything like this today. I'm pretty sure this was a long time ago. The game logic is very well annotated, but it's set into create, update, and collect diamond functions. There could be more functions, but I think that it's written this way to make it as like procedural and easy to read as possible. The thing of it is, Jumper, which is on my EGXYZ GitHub profile, has the most forks and the most stars of all of my repos. So regardless of my opinions of how this is put together, it seems to be popular, so I don't know. The way the public folder works is a little bit odd, but that's because this package is serving itself in two different ways. You could serve it three different ways. There is npm start, and if you run npm start, it will pop open Electron, and you have the game inside of an Electron window, just like a standalone game. And since it's a Git repo, you could ship it this way, and that was kind of my cool idea. You could ship games as Git repos and just launch them with npm. You could also do npm run serve and have it serve itself under localhost 8080, and there we are here. So this should probably be centered. I was kind of lazy when I put this together, but this is a patch, not anything too crazy. And then why the heck not? I put it into Docker, and I think that this works. It should. And it does, yeah. I had some trouble getting this thing running in Docker. It had pathing issues. It couldn't find the resource files or whatever, but I guess I figured it out because it seems to be working good now. So for the README changes, the original README was very sparse. There wasn't really any information. And there's even a companion video for this, but it doesn't mention the video at all. I don't really know what I was doing there. So I use VS Code, and VS Code has a few different ways of viewing Markdown. This is one such way, and it's fine. But I added a few things. I updated the CI badge, so it's GitHub instead of Travis. There are three different ways to run this project, and there's a link that points right back to the code. I also make a point to point out that this is a spiritual fork of the PhaserJS 2 tutorial, so it's a tutorial. But while I was working on this, I got Dependabot up and going again. So we've got some Dependabot stuff, and I think we're gonna wrap this up by trying to bump Electron. So I don't know if anybody noticed, but the Electron version is really old, like Electron 6. It's quite ancient. But I'm fairly certain that if I bumped it from 6 to 22, it would probably break everything. So we can try that at the very end. And before we go through the pull request line by line, the first line is CI. So let's go to CI. We've got GitHub Actions. Not really much to see or say. There's no tests. I mean, there is, but write tests, they're just stubbed out. But it makes it so actions will run and behave properly when you have tests being run or called. The workflow file is more or less canned. I had to change it from main to master because this is an older repo and it uses the master branch instead of main branch. The node versions were wrong. They used really old versions. I had to update it to 18 and 20, but everything else is the same. It uses cache by default, which is cool. All right, let's look at this PR now. The first line is run npm test. Yep, with no new line. Travis is gone. The Docker file. Yeah, the Docker file is just a Docker file, I guess. Maybe it should say which node version. I mean, it does. It says node LTS, and it should always run on LTS, so that's fine. We create a workdir, move the packages to app, copy the public folder into app public, run npm install, and I did npm CI without dev dependencies, and it kept having problems with that darn lock file, so I just changed it to npm install. And then the command is just the same thing that the serve command runs. It's just the node's HTTP server, and it serves up some files. That's all it does. So that is good. The license just updates to 2024 is good. See, it looks like a lot of changes happened with the README, but not really. It's just words. Oh, the Docker Compose, that's right. So I created a Docker Compose because I really hate all of the different arguments and switches you have to pass to Docker's CLI to get it to do basic stuff. It's very obnoxious. You could just run Docker Compose up, and it's maybe a little frivolous, but I mean, it works. Oh, and while I was at it, I added Jumper as a package so you can get it as like a Docker image. So you can just grab it as you would from like a Docker hub, and you can actually run and host your own Jumper like I'm doing here on Egee.io. So this is running that Docker Compose file behind the scenes, and it's hosting it up through an Nginx, just like that. That's my game. So that's Docker Compose, main.js. Oh yeah, let's take a look at this. This was interesting. This was a good find. So I added this little bit, menu.setApplication menu null, and I had to import menu up here. It wasn't there. If you take it away, it'll get mad at you because it can't find the menu reference. But I'm not sure if this worked at some point, this win.setMenu, but it was in there. It wasn't doing anything. And when I looked it up, people said that it was supposed to work, and it didn't. So that's probably why I put it in there, but it wasn't removing the menu. So if we comment this out and then save it, npm start, we'll see the menu up here. It's not supposed to be here. It's like throwing all these weird errors too. But putting that line back in makes the menu go away. So I don't know, Electron's weird. So that's the main.js, that's the Forsaken lock file, the package.json, it's nothing big, and then yeah, the index.html. So this is what got me to make this patch in the beginning. It was originally like this. So you have /src, right? And now when we run it, we get nothing. So why? I actually don't know. I really don't. I specifically don't know because it worked at one point, and I mean, / should be the root of the folder, right? So I don't know why suddenly it's not needed, but given that it has changed, doesn't really give me a lot of confidence in this setup. So I think that if I patch this again, which to be honest, I probably won't, I might look for another way to work around that. But overall, this looks a-okay. Submit the review and merge this puppy. Confirm it, merge it, delete the branch, and go back to the start. We are done. Now I said I'd wrap this up by upgrading to the latest Electron. So what we have here in the old pull request is bump Electron from 6.1.12 to 22.3.25. Now you might look at this and say, hey, all checks have passed, everything is okay except for this package lock file, which I've had troubles with. So the reason why this PR looks good is because there's nothing being tested. There's no way for CI or anything to know whether this code is actually good. Dependabot is just bumping it and then letting you know about it. So if we wanted to test that, we would need to update the version here. And we update it from 6.1.12 to 22.3.25. Save the file and let's see what happens. I don't expect this to work. I bet you it's going to complain about something in this file. There's probably some lines in here that don't work with this version. So let's see. Whoa, no way. For real? Like, is this actually Electron? Like, prove it. I don't believe it. Oh, and that's because I'm a dum-dum. I didn't even install it. I was so excited to see if it would work. I just changed the number and ran it. All right, it says it's installed, but I still don't believe it. I haven't tested it, but we're gonna test it. I'm gonna grab Electron right here. We're gonna do help and see what it does. There it is, Electron 2, 22.3. But now we're gonna run npm start and watch it blow up. No way! Wow, that is a lot of version jumps, and this somehow still works. Like, for real. I don't believe it. I still don't believe it. This is my cynical mindset at play. I'm trying to get better at not being so darn cynical. So what I'm doing here is I'm cutting the package JSON out of the mix completely. So I just ran Electron help. That confirms that it's Electron 22. And now I'm going to run that exact same command, but without help. I'm going to run that JavaScript file. And there it is. Wow. Okay. Well, as a developer, I'll tell you, that is actually impressive. That is legitimately impressive that code that I wrote however many years ago that is messily right here is still valid in the latest version of Electron today. Like, that's pretty cool. That's like taking, maybe not as extreme as taking Python 2 and expecting it to run with Python 3, but it's still kind of similar, especially when Electron has its reputation of being this kind of like cumbersome, hulking beast that can't do anything right. This is actually pretty cool. If you like this video, you should consider becoming a member or subscribing or leaving a like or a comment, or you know what? You could hop over to this GitHub page and leave a star or fork it or watch it or try to update it to Phaser 3. I'm very fond of the original PhaserJS video I made, but it took a lot of work to make. And I'll say that just doing this little code review, these little videos are a lot of fun, and I think I might try my hand at doing something like a coding tutorial or something like that again. But at any rate, I will see you next time, whenever that is, and until then, I will see you then. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.